Star Trek 57, M23, take 2.
It's the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
What does he mean?
I was stripped of my captaincy for allowing my crew to mutiny.
The whole family was shaved. It was hilarious.
Well, I'm sure you captained with honor. I remember you always screaming about honor. It was hot.
Mach also screamed this morning when he was headbutted by a small tar.
If you were to regain your command, you would be captain of a new ship?
Don't count on that. Mach killed Burke's brother.
Dorg was a traitor to the Empire. I have no regrets.
I'll bet his brother does.
Enough!
A Klingon is not defined by rank.
Oh, if it isn't my old Chud Deech. Why you been ducking my calls, pal?
You fraternize with Starfleet humans? Bah!
Wow, was that your girlfriend? Ooh, what crawled up her boob window and died? Anyway, what are we drinking?
Ah!
Huh, classic Mach.
What a great show!
What a great show.
What a great show we get to watch.
We haven't even done it yet. Oh.
No, not the show we're doing.
Wait, you threw me off. This intro is all weird. What are you doing?
I'm just trying something different. This is episode 4.
It's an all of a sudden we've started the podcast.
Lower Deck Season 5. And
Oh, look! Special delivery from the Batak.
Okay, yeah, so,
Talk.
I mean, you threw me off a little bit there yourself.
Yeah, I threw you off. I wasn't actually going to play that sound first. I was going to play another sound, but since you said that, it threw me off, so...
All because I said, what a great show?
That was your special delivery by throwing... That was your special delivery to me by throwing off the show with your weird intro, and thus you are Patak.
I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm interpreting, I think, what you're saying correctly, but I just didn't seem like a weird intro because I just said, what a great show.
But it was weird. It didn't start...
The Lower Decks is a great show.
I know, but like that's not how you usually say like, hey, what's up? Welcome to the podcast. When you say what a good show, based upon our...
He's a Batak automatically.
I said, what a great show.
What a great show. Based upon how we've started the show in the past, one might think you are commenting on our own podcast, being like, our podcast is so great.
Well, I could say that at the end of the podcast, but we don't know at the beginning. Sometimes they're not so great.
I'm just saying, we always begin the podcast with the welcoming to the podcast.
Yeah, and I just trying to try something new.
But in lieu of that, by not specifying what you meant by what a great show, everyone's going to think you meant the podcast. You should have said Lower Decks is a great show. That would have been more clear.
What a great fucking show. What if we started that way?
Whoa.
No, because then you would
What a great fucking show.
No, you're not listening, because then you would still think that we could possibly be talking about our own podcast. Like you're saying,
so that's the issue.
That's what I've been saying this whole time is the issue.
I just wasn't. I'm not sure if it was the primary issue.
What was that? Our own fucking podcast?
I'm not sure anyone was listening. What I was saying was, and I'll say it for a third time. When you start the podcast by saying welcome to our podcast, you set up a precedent. And that precedent is that, they're beginning the show by welcoming us to the podcast. Okay. The first subject we're bringing up is the podcast. So when one day you start by saying what a great show,
that day being today.
Yeah, considering that in the past the introductory subject has always been the podcast. One might think the introductory subject would once again be the podcast, and when you say what a great show, you're saying what a great podcast we have, which is presumptuous.
Jesse,
in case you haven't guessed, you're listening to the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
I was going to say, Jesse, what do you think about all this? All right, how about this? We'll just stipulate to the what a great show. We can go into more detail about what prompted me to say that. Hint, it's because it's an awesome show.
It was quite a good one.
But do not make a spectacle about it.
Yes, let's revert back to the expectations. I feel you, Dan.
Yes, anything, please.
We're just trying something a little different, shake things up, but I didn't mean to, freak everybody out.
I wasn't freaked out at all.
I noticed you weren't.
You freaked this motherfucker out.
Yeah, I wasn't going to make that point, Jesse, but excellent. Okay.
Turning inside out.
So we'll do the What a Great Show later. We'll start with welcome to your planet. Welcome to the It's Got Star Trek podcast. And
Oh, if it isn't my old chuddeech.
specifically, welcome to episode 264 of the It's Got Star Trek podcast. Now, first, an apology, because I believe last week we didn't mention that it was the 263rd episode of the podcast.
Skip that?
I think we got a little confused and a little discombobulated at the beginning of the.
This is shocking!
That's easy. Yeah.
So I think we forgot the number.
I think we did that this time, too.
I'm not sure if we welcomed people, so we do welcome you to last week's podcast in the event that we did not welcome you, and it is that we apologize.
Sweet and sour hell.
I apologize. It's my responsibility.
Sweet and sour hell.
But this week, episode 264, welcome. So, good. All right. Okay. So we've got some stuff to go over quickly here at the beginning.
I'm not sure about this.
Introductum ups.
Yeah, that's right. So you got your old Patreon. We do have a Patreon.
Prologue.
It's an
I like it.
If you're not in the know, a Patreon's like a cool way where, like, if you've got extra money that you're not using, you can give it to us, and then we provide you with
money.
extra entertainment. It's
A yeasty lump loaf of an idea.
yes, thank you.
Now, there's definitely such a thing as extra entertainment.
Thank you. I love Dr. Migleemo. But
I know you do. Where'd they come up with that name? It seems like that came from somewhere, but it didn't.
It just sort of rolls off the tongue.
It just happened.
why don't we discuss that?
Sounds like it was like it almost sounds like a reference to an old Dr. Seuss book or something.
We'll discuss that
right,
in
it
a little
does.
bit. But first,
A little bit?
Patreon, patreon.com/It's Got Star Trek. You can get some free previews there. Go check it out.
Aren't they wonderful?
Send your spare money. Send your spare money our way, because we would like some of that money. Okay.
Everybody,
Send your
everybody
money
needs
along.
money.
Send your money because we like some of that money.
Now we have a lot going
We'll
on.
put it
What is
back
it?
into the
What
podcast.
Jiminy Glick, because he's now talking something like here, and then he goes down. He goes up and he goes low.
Okay.
I remember that Jiminy Glick show.
I remember that too, and I
was
remember a
quite a
whole
show.
bunch of other stuff, Dan. But what we also
We've
have to
lived
remember
many
is
years.
this is a Star Trek podcast, and we have a social media post to respond to. We have an email to respond to, and we have a voicemail to respond to. All right?
This is gonna be Klingon as hell.
So first, we got a message on Blue Sky from our old friend Tarek.
Bluesky.
Blue Sky, by the way, lots of Star Trek people are heading over to Blue Sky.
Bluesky?
Threads as
Bluesky.
well, but people aren't so keen on Twitter these days, so there's been
I don't know.
There's been a bit of an exodus from Twitter over to Blue Sky and Threads, but especially Blue Sky. So check it out. Check us out. If you've just gone over to Blue Sky, we are at It's Got Star Trek on all the social media stuff. But anyway, Tarek
Excellent.
is responding to an issue that came up last week where Dan
I'm sure there was an issue.
Dan referenced a thing from The Simpsons, which Dan asserted was a well-known thing. I felt like it wasn't so well-known, and so many people have written it to give their opinions. Dan, could you remind us what what we are referring to?
Lisa needs braces, dental floss. Lisa needs. Oh wait, no, not dental. Shit.
Well, okay, we're going to isolate that one. First
okay.
of all, that's now going to be isolated.
Great.
And put into the rotation.
Sweet and sour hell.
Lisa needs braces, dental plan.
There you go.
Lisa
Dental
needs
plan.
braces, dental. I'm totally failing on this one. But what I said is Riker makes faces, Enterprise.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I butchered that.
So, did you see the tweet from Sinistera?
Lisa needs braces, dental plan.
All right.
Lisa needs braces, dental plan.
Anyway, just so we can get to Tarek's message, Dan
Yes.
Tarek.
I insisted that you said it was obscure, and I was like, no way, buddy.
I did refer to it as obscure. Dan claimed it is not obscure. I'm really in no position to be talking because my level of expertise with regard to The Simpsons is moderate to low.
Catch me as I performatively faint.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
But this is what Tarek says. Dan is
low. Relatively low.
Dan
is relatively high. And his is relatively low.
My knowledge of The Simpsons is relatively low.
Oh, don't worry. Okay, Tarek, we're gonna get to it.
Maybe.
Don't worry, we're gonna get to it.
Yes, anything, please.
Quote, Dan is half correct regarding The Simpsons.
Half.
I recall the Lisa needs braces line, but not the dental plan follow.
Oh man, that's like having peanut butter without jelly.
The Dune Buggy chase was the episode where there was a party for captains and exos and they didn't let the Cali class folks in. Now, I think that is a reference to some other comment we made that I don't remember. Do either of you remember us? Did we talk about
Cali class? What?
Well, he's talking about we must have referenced there's an episode of Lower Decks where they do a Dune Buggy chase.
Oh yeah,
And they're not invited because the California class.
Yeah, that party.
Yeah.
Wait, are we talking about
And
when
they go to that bar where Spock and Kirk.
Wait, are we talking about like when they went to like the Starbase where all the fun Starbase, not those Starbase this from last week, but way before.
You're right.
There was a chase scene because I was comparing.
They messed up their dress uniforms.
I was comparing when Mariner and Jennifer. With the Glumpus, the Katamari chase scene.
Yeah, it was last
and
week.
I was comparing that to
the
a
exotic.
And I was
the best exotic nanite hotel.
And I was comparing that to a previous chase scene from another Lower Decks. I don't know if that's the one Tarek is referencing.
Perhaps.
It might be.
But anyway, so that's what Tarek said on Blue Sky.
I can't believe he doesn't remember the dental plan part.
Well, we also had an email from Isaac.
Email?
Yeah.
email.
Did I say email weirdly?
Yeah, you said like
Email.
It sounded normal to me, sir.
Email. Isaac from Tasmania sent us in an email, and his email says, "Hi, dinguses.
Hell yeah.
Dan was right.
Yep.
Lisa needs braces. Dental plan isn't obscure. I think about it daily. I would assert that Patrick not remembering it isn't a reflection on its impact."
Internationally acclaimed.
Isaac goes on to say, I would also double dumbass assert that that is comparable to I was saying boo earns as both a memorable moment and not required at all in the story.
That was extremely honorable.
And then he actually provides a 10-hour loop of exactly this.
No.
We'll play that real quick here.
Dental plan.
Lisa needs braces.
Dental plan.
Lisa needs braces.
Dental plan.
I like it.
Lisa needs braces.
Okay.
Dental plan.
I think I
Lisa needs braces.
I think I remember it.
Lisa needs braces.
Dental plan.
All right, and so
No,
that
man, stop.
Play it a little more for a few seconds.
Lisa needs
right,
braces.
Dental plan.
Lisa
No,
needs
man,
braces.
Dental plan.
Lisa
No,
needs
man, stop.
braces.
Dental plan.
Lisa
No, man,
needs
stop.
braces.
Dental plan.
Okay, stop.
all right, thank you, Dan, for permission to stop. So that's a 10-hour loop that just keeps going. That's a YouTube video. We'll provide that link
Right
from
on.
Isaac in the show notes.
it's badass.
Isaac concludes his email by saying, maybe someone could have this as punishment. It's me, right? Here's my change up on it inspired by Dan, factoring in syllables, meter, and rhyme. And so he says his alternative. What was yours? Riker has a butt face? What was it?
Riker makes faces. Enterprise.
Okay, Isaac has suggested Wesley needs phasers. Enterprise.
Hey, that's better.
Why don't you trade? Because you know the cadence better than I do.
Wesley needs phasers. Enterprise.
There you
Wesley
go.
needs phasers. Enterprise.
And the actual conclusion to the email is also here's a picture that includes my Millpool tattoo that you may enjoy. This will play well on an audio podcast. It's a picture of Isaac relaxing, drinking what appears to be a fine Australian beer,
As plortful as those in a Nora Prime.
showing off his Millpool tattoo on his leg. Which I'm guessing if you watch The Simpsons, that will make sense. It does not necessarily make sense.
I don't get it.
So I was
to
right.
me.
I was max right. You
Well,
are so
certainly,
insistent.
Certainly, many people agree with you.
I am victorious!
Indeed you are, Dan.
Cool,
Indeed
but
you are.
rude.
All right. Last thing before we get to our discussion is a voicemail from Jesse.
Hello to the gentleman at It's Got Star Trek. This is your friend Jesse over at Open Pike Night, and I have A specific question for Dan, now that we all know that he is deep in the numerology world and its very real effects that it can have on the real world. So,
okay, I'm just pausing real quick just to let the the current week's audience, which you should have listened to last week.
Should have done it.
We're covering the whole season,
Shoulda
so
done
you
it.
ought to be listening to this in order. But we do recognize there are some
You oughtn't not.
kooky, crazy people out there. And you may be one of them. So in case you haven't heard last week's episode,
I'm a bit kooky.
Dan brought up some business about some numbers. It was like 9s and 3s.
Oh, yeah.
What was it? It was Stardate or
always
something?
doing
Okay, there was this star date. It began with a 5, it ended with a 7, and it had a 9393 in the middle. And my argument was that 9393 is repeating, and it's surrounded by 2 prime numbers, both which are separated by.
I remember that.
Both which are separated by 2, and 2 is a special prime number.
Okay. That's the recap.
And I was saying it was a mind puzzle akin to like when you write mind, the word mind, and you write the word matter underneath, and it's a puzzle, and you say, oh, that's mind over matter. Yeah. And I'm suggesting this is a mathematical puzzle that they want us to solve.
What if you write the word puzzle on your forehead?
Okay. So, first of all, that was a strange non sequitur, Jesse. Dan, thank you. You after giving the sufficient overview, you expanded on it.
I gave the complete one.
Yeah, so let us
director's cut.
Let us continue Jesse's voicemail.
Dan, my first name has a prime number of letters in it, and the number of letters in my first name plus the number of letters in my last name also equals a prime number. I'm a Leo, so I was wondering if you could just kind of, give me my horoscope for the next 3 or 4 months using your numerology magic. Please and thank you. Also, you guys, you talked about Toby Huss, but you did not mention his greatest role ever, which of course is Artie, the strongest man in the world.
I know.
From the Adventures of Pete and Pete.
Oh, wow. That's a deep
Please
cut.
tell me that you guys have seen the Adventures of Pete and Pete. Yeah. Anyways, really, really liking your Lower Decks coverage. You guys are one of my favorite podcasts ever, as I've said before, and will probably say again. Keep it up, guys.
Thank you so much, Jesse.
Deep
as
cut
always,
with the Pete and Pete.
It is. I was going to ask both of you guys.
My
what's your
first name
familiarity?
and last name is also a prime number.
Well, you know the thing about now, I don't know.
My name is Jesse.
Now, I don't know about all this numerology, astrology nonsense. I'm just talking strictly from a mathematical perspective.
Have you ever seen Pete and Pete?
But wait, which one are we answering first? Are we doing, because Jesse asked me a
Why don't we
question.
answer them at the same time? How about
same
this?
fucking time?
I'm going to count to 3, and then I want Jesse to answer about Pete and Pete. And I want
not
Dan
sure about this.
I want Dan to comment on the numerology. All right.
I think I've seen several episodes of Pete and
1,
Pete.
2, 3.
I am not a peacock.
All right. You did not play along with my hilarious
I was
joke.
listening to his clip.
All right.
Okay, do we want to try it again then?
Well, let's take turns.
No. Okay, Jesse wants to take turns. Okay, Jesse, you go first then.
I don't care.
Did you like Pete and Pete? Did you watch Pete and Pete?
Seems
The
like
Adventures of Pete and Pete?
It was on TV and I watched it.
Yeah.
And I don't remember that there were a whole lot of episodes of Pete and Pete, but it was on a lot and I saw it.
I remember.
I mean, there were several episodes, but it wasn't like, 100 episodes.
I don't have the specific memories of it, but I remember watching it. I remember enjoying it and thinking certainly at the time that it was groundbreaking. I can't remember why.
I used to work with a guy who was in a band and he played a gig with one of the Pete's bands. I think it was the younger Pete.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
The younger Pete was in an episode of Seinfeld.
Okay, Dan, provide a 3-month horoscope to Jesse.
I'm not
I like the concept of a 3 or 4-month horoscope.
Hey, like I said, I'm not into this astrology stuff or numerology stuff.
It seems like it's more numerology.
This is not numerology.
What about alchemy?
Hey!
Shh. Okay.
Please. Please. Sorry, I shushed you. It's rude to shush people.
I'm fine with it.
Okay. So
My daughter does it all the time.
I'm not into astrology or numerology. What I will say is that you talk about your names, your first name and last name both are prime numbers. Well, prime factorization is what they use in cryptography. That's how they make cryptographic keys and stuff. It's the question of prime factorization. The concept being it goes one direction. You can multiply 2 prime numbers and get a number, but you can't go backwards. It's like really hard to take a number and find its prime factors. And that's how sort of like hashing and cryptography and all that kind of stuff. Hashing is when you take a file or or a word, or you take something and you run it through this algorithm and it spits out this long string
Oh,
of
hell
characters and
yeah,
numbers.
baby.
Every single file that ever exists has its own hash value, and so it's a
Fucking
unique identification, and this is all done through math. And so, yeah, you're talking about first and last name prime numbers. That's what 2 prime numbers means to me right now.
Are you suggesting that Jesse from Open Pike Night is a cryptid?
Wait, is
Whoa.
Do you think he's a cryptid?
No.
Does he
Because
got,
you
like,
keep talking about,
stripes?
cryptography. So maybe he's a cryptid.
Maybe he's a Tales from the Crypt.
Maybe.
Does he have? Maybe he has a tail and stripes.
Yeah. Well, I'll call him.
Did you say a tail and stripes?
And stripes.
Where
Well, he's
does-
a cryptid.
He can be-
He's a bizarre creature.
He
Well,
can
what
be.
is it? Why is a zebra a cryptid because it has stripes?
Well,
I can call him the Prime Jesse
I was
Factor.
just
I can
improvising.
call him the Prime Jesse Factor. That's
All right.
the Prime Jesse Factor.
that sounds better than
That's what your name is now.
All right, we've done it again,
You're
boys.
the Prime Jesse Factor.
We've done it again.
We've done it again, and we've wasted just a bunch of people's time.
That was extremely honorable.
So now we'll
just
talk
in
about the
case you
episode.
didn't figure it out, this has been the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna get right back to it right now.
At some
but first,
point, there's going to be some Star Trek.
Don't make me laugh.
But first, I want to thank Jesse. Thank you so much, both for the kind compliment and for the questions. We do appreciate it very much. All right. What was this?
Thanks, Agamus.
A Farewell to Farms.
Yes.
Which is similar to the title of the Hemingway novel, A Farewell to Arms.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ah!
All right.
I don't know if that's true.
Me neither. Okay. So let's go ahead.
Now, hold on a damn minute.
Let's go ahead and start. And
So-
is this the appropriate time for me to be all like, what a great episode? God, it seems to have thrown you off again. Is this really weirding you out? Oh, no, I said, what a great show. I didn't even say it right. Is that what threw you off? Because before I said, what a great show.
Oh, stop
Now I'm saying
being
what a great
a
episode.
cock.
Because it is a great episode, but it's a great episode that I think exemplifies the fact that Lower Decks is a great show.
Yes.
I really enjoyed the episode.
It was a different sort of opening.
I really love the chill, sort of relaxed opening, which is always funny to me, like because it's like a Klingon opening, but it's the exact Klingons are like the opposite of chill, but this opening was really chill.
Well, they were like goofing on Picard.
A little bit, and also...
But yeah, but I'm saying it was funny that it was like they chose the Klingons as
Yeah,
the time to do that.
Yeah.
And I like
kind of gawk farm.
Yeah, I was getting like some kind of Luke Skywalker water farm
Yeah.
thing. I liked it in the back when they had the shuttle going across the sky
animation.
and it showed the exhaust trail from the shuttle.
The contrail.
Yeah, contrail.
Probably not an exhaust trail.
Whatever, same shit.
I just, specify.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
But
no,
you are correct.
Not a chemtrail.
The art,
Nope.
the artwork, the animation, the production design, the writing. I mean, it's all brilliant.
No, this was a really good episode. I
cinematic.
enjoyed all aspects of this episode.
100%.
Yeah.
There was like an A and B plot balance.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they were both by like trial by fire kind of situation.
Yes,
Right,
and also the B plot. We'll get to the B plot. Let's start with the A plot. But the B plot, part of why I liked it was because it was so stupid. It was just so stupid, but in a genius way. I do not mean that in a pejorative. I mean it was meticulously crafted to be as stupid as possible.
Some manure we made from the replicator.
Yeah, I want to know if he literally meant manure or if he was just trying to say like it's shit.
Yeah, no, I think they meant manure.
I like how the Cloakans have a specific tool that pre-chews their food, so it turns it into vomit or whatever, so they can like put it on their tongue like a bird. It's funny to me, like birds of all creatures, bird people.
They had all kinds of weird implements.
Like why is it the bird people love to eat delicious food?
Wow.
Although I'm really when they were talking about
got
like
no teeth.
they're on a mission to explore strange new meals,
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be on that mission.
Yes.
I would
Yes.
love that mission.
I think you would, sir.
I ordered. I remember one time I ordered like pig ear soup at a restaurant,
Yes.
and the server was just like, "You're not gonna like that." I was like, "I don't care. I want to try it."
You're like, no, I'm going to like it.
No, I figured it wasn't gonna be that great, and he tried to talk me out of it. But I wanted to order it
Was
not
it Chinese?
Yeah, I know. I ordered it not because I thought it would taste good. I ordered because I'd never had it, and it didn't. And I would never order it again.
We do these things. We do these things.
I don't.
Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Because they are new. I wouldn't order it again. I don't need to eat it again, but I'm glad that I tried it and I got exactly what I wanted out of it. It was something new and I was satisfied.
Okay.
It's like
So you can enjoy a meal without it tasting good.
that guy that has the TV show that like from back in the day, and he ate the weird foods.
Andrew Zimmern?
And he had like fluorescent shorts.
Are you talking about that skit on Turkey TV where the guy would eat car parts?
No, I'm talking about Andrew
He's talking
Zimmern.
about Andrew Zimmern.
He like took
But
your...
you really wanted to bring that up. The guy who ate
You could have
car parts.
had a show like that, but he
Turkey.
took
Now,
it from you.
do you remember the theme? It goes Turkey, Turkey TV,
I remember that show.
Turkey,
I
Turkey
watched
TV.
I watched that show
TV.
all the fucking time.
Turkey TV.
Okay, so here's the deal.
It was so weird.
We are
That's really
we are obligated because we already said previously that we're not going to talk about the B plot just yet. We're going to talk about the main plot because
I don't care!
there's a lot to talk about. So I'm going to reel you guys back in.
You dare insult me, human?
Turkey
TV, Turkey.
The first thing to mention at the top of this A plot, even though it comes at the end, because it is contextually important.
What?
Is that it's now clear that there is a season-long arc involving these openings to other dimensions / alternate universes, right?
Yeah.
It keeps coming up, and people were talking about this, but this episode makes it firm that this is something that's going on.
So Mariner was like, "Oh, we found some Klingon skulls, and we're going to return them to your Klingon skull museum,"
But
which
that
was
was
just
fake.
which was a front for
That
what
was a ruse.
It was a front when she really just wanted to find some kind of space hole anomaly thing.
Yes.
Space hole.
Space hole.
You said
anomaly.
space hole.
I said space hole.
We're gonna play a song. I mean, play a pithy clip.
Hologram.
Yeah, you gotta push the fucking button, Dan.
No, I don't think I got this crip.
What?
This
Crip. I got this
What
crip.
are you talking about? You got any bloods?
What is it? No, I don't think I. Oh, here it is.
I mean, it's a really interesting hole.
That's what I was looking
Oh,
for.
okay.
Yeah.
I was like, because you just had a puzzled look on your face.
I couldn't remember where I put it.
You got, it's
He
like,
had puzzle on his forehead.
you got,
I mean, it's a really interesting hole. No, man, stop. No, man, stop. No,
Indeed.
man, stop.
one person, at least on Reddit, I think, suggested that maybe the setup at the end of the season they're going to go through an alternate universe and turn into live action.
Whoa,
Like a
that would be
like a reverse
that would be-
Strange New Worlds,
yeah.
those old scientists
Right.
type thing.
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
But something to follow, right? We've touched on this as well in our coverage of the season thus far, but something to follow to see where it goes in this fifth and final season.
And there's also been a theme of Boimler's facial hair. Do you think he'll have
Yes.
a full beard by the end?
I believe so,
Hopefully.
and not just the joke of him growing a beard trying to pull a Riker or an alternate universe Boimler, but that along with every little sprout of beard, he's doing more and more brave things, more reckless.
Yeah.
Not reckless, but whatever his interpretation of the heroic Riker style.
It will be my
officer.
greatest challenge.
And it's coming in purple, or is he's dyeing it purple? He's
purple.
dyeing. Did he's dyeing his,
His hair's-
mustache purple?
He's got purple hair.
Doesn't he dye it purple?
I don't know. He seems to just have purple hair.
paint your bald spot?
I thought he had said that he dyed it purple.
Paint your bald spot?
That's a Don and Mike joke.
Yes.
We did it.
Larry King, Don and Mike joke. Okay.
My hair grows.
No, the beard business. The beard
business.
Beard business.
Beard business.
Let me
It's
tell
got the
you this.
beard business. Going to
call
beard
that a
business.
beard?
I got the beard business gonna come for you. Got beard business. What you gonna do? I got the beard business gonna go to the sky. Go
That's-
beard business. Don't wonder why.
That's way too much.
Well, I got to tell you, the Boimler beard business is particularly funny because not only is the beard coming in patchy in parts, in other parts is coming in thick. He's got like a drawn-on mustache style, sort of 1970s porn star mustache. That's actually coming in pretty well. And then it's all wispy and weird on the other bits.
1920s bootlegger.
Yeah, but so I wanted to mention that context at the beginning because obviously it is a bit of a switcheroo at the end where it turns out that the entire A plot was set into motion because of, as you mentioned, Dan, Mariner's and Starfleet's need to investigate a space hole that they found within Klingon
Holograms.
within Klingon space, which apparently this Barg guy was using his influence to prevent the Federation from investigating.
When I was like naming my sound files, and I usually always tag it at the end with their names. For a few of them, I had to rename them because I kept naming them Blarg. And I was thinking like Barg. That must have been a joke name. Like that has to be a joke name, right? Like making fun of Klingon names, like Barg. His name is Barg. I mean, like, it's not like something cool. Like, it's like Barg. It's like Barg.
Hey, Jesse.
You know, like Barg.
Jesse, Dan is unsatisfied with the reactions we're giving him. Jesse and I are giving Dan facial reactions. But apparently,
I have no
problem.
No, I don't have any problems with your reactions. Don't put thoughts into my head.
You just kept saying Barg over and over again.
Yeah, I know, because it's fun to say it. Barg.
It is fun to say.
It
I
has
will
nothing.
agree with
There's
you.
Well, maybe
nothing to do.
that's why you can name your kids that.
It has nothing to do with you guys. I don't give a shit what you think. I just like saying Barg. Barg.
Barg.
Barg.
It makes me think of Spaceballs.
Oh, speaking of funny things, Malor kept saying funny shit. Like, he said,
But you would still have to select one of us to die.
and then
You'll need a ship, brother. If you were not going back to the Chita, who would you serve with? Going back to the Chita.
From like Long Island or something.
But this is what I used to deliver our blood wine. Deliver our blood wine. Blood wine. Blood wine. Deliver our blood wine. Blood wine. Blood wine.
I got the impression they were going a little bit in the direction of a Three Stooges, like a curly.
well, at the end,
I'm gonna die here, brother. Hold still, I'm gonna die here, brother.
It was a little like Hulk Hogan there.
and this
Brother.
in this one, this exchange between Mach and Malor.
Why is a human calling you? I don't care.
I like that there was this classic sort of like they're these Klingons, right? You know, and they got those Klingon warrior ways, but they're still like brothers
They're
getting
brothers.
on. They're getting
he
on.
stabbed the screen.
They're getting on each other's case like they're brothers. Like Malor was like playing this video game like the whole time, and then like he kept calling him out on shit when Boimler brought up the ritual of Jathurg or whatever, and then Mach was like, "Oh yeah, I know all about that." And he's like, he's just bullshit.
You know more than Jesse and I about this brother business because Jesse and I.
You have a brother.
We have
right.
sisters. So,
Right.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different thing. Anyway, Dan, I don't mean.
like
I saw
when-
you take a deep breath, but it is break time.
Oh,
So, do you mind if we go to break?
when Mach said, "I spent many nights here as young," and then Malor interrupted and said, "Patak," like that's total brother move.
Okay. Well, again, you are the podcast advisor with regard to fraternal type situations.
He was laughing at Malor was laughing at him for losing his captaincy and shaming his family. I mean, that's a bro move right there.
Yeah, I agree. And it was also.
But it's funny that he thought it was the shaming is the whole family was shamed. He thought it was
it's
funny,
hilarious.
but like he's in the family.
Yeah, I
he's
know,
just
right.
like he was just sitting
But
there the whole
goes to
time,
show
like
he's
laughing at everybody.
He's a chill dude. He's like, I don't care. I
He's
just want to
like-
be on the farm and do my stuff, play my video games.
He's like that younger generation of Klingon, you know.
Yeah, they're more loosey-goosey. Loosey-goosey. All right.
Right.
Well, speaking of loosey-goosey, we've gone over in our first break, and so we've got to take a break. And so when we take that break,
Take a break.
we're going to do that in a second. And then when we come back, we have a little bit of a haiku controversy.
That puff in your face.
And then we'll continue our discussion of a farewell
You
to
f***ing kidding me?
of a farewell to farms. Okay. All righty. Got the timing down this week, don't we? All right.
Farewell to Blanc.
We will be right back.
Oh, you're going to hate Flavor Prison.
This was a really great show.
Okay, that means we're back, I guess. Hello.
What is the point of this nonsense?
All right.
I wonder.
All
sometimes.
Do you know who played
Right.
Barg's voice? It was Colton Dunn.
Yes, and do you know who Colton Dunn is?
He was in the show Superstore.
He was also in Parks and Recreation as one of the
Oh, the
animal control officers with
yeah.
Harris Whittles.
Oh,
with
tight.
the late and great Harris Whittles.
Oh man.
Yeah. Colton Dunn is great.
Yeah.
Didn't he also play Barg's brother who Mach killed?
So wait,
on
wait,
the-
like,
on the-
like, catch me up here. Catch me up.
All right, all
catch
right.
Me up. Okay,
I'm getting into the
so-
catch you up
Catch 'em
position.
up.
So why did Mach lose his captaincy? They said it was because some mutiny shit.
Yeah.
But I don't remember that. I thought he did some heroic shit.
He did.
He killed Barg, right? Because
Both times he did heroic
Okay,
shit.
so
It's
both-
just the second time, like the people.
And
went
so,
against
actually, at the end of this episode, he took Barg's big targ and he took Barg's brother's targ in the
Big's
last
Barg
one,
targ.
right? So doesn't he have both
Tag-
their
yeah.
targs?
Probably, yeah. He's a good point
But
because the original was in the Wage Douge when he was dealing with that was the brother.
Yeah, and he made friends with the targ and he
Yeah.
like killed. That was Barg's brother. He killed.
that was Barg's brother, and I think
Barg
his name
Targ.
was like Marg or something. I
yeah.
forget.
So
It wasn't that, but
so
it was
I
something
thought,
along
and
those
didn't he
lines.
take?
Was he a Targnard?
But my point is Colton Dunn did the voice of the brother as well, if I recall correctly.
Okay, so he took.
If I'm reading Memory Alpha correctly.
So Mach took control of the ship. I was under the impression that it ended with like heroically for him, but then it turns out at some point along the way they
there was an
decided-
intervening thing, and I'm not remembering the specifics. It was like last season.
He got
But it was-
honor shame.
Oh
yeah.
wait, was that when he fought Mariner? Didn't he fight Was that him who fought Mariner 1-on-1?
Yeah, they were they were on that planet with the things and the fighting
Okay,
and the,
with the things and the fighting.
Stuff happens.
Okay, so that's what happened with there and that thing with the
thing and the
stuff.
thing. Yeah, I
that was a
remember that.
big targ. Do you think that's the biggest targ on record? It had 4 bottom husks.
Dan, I simply do not have enough information to make any sort
It
of
was totally tar.
estimate.
It had 4 bottom husks. Husks, whatever.
Okay, so
It had 4 of them. Why did they need targs?
Tetratarg.
Why did they need targ on their blood wine farm?
maybe to keep the bloodworm wolves away or something. You know, I was thinking maybe that was or they were milking them. Maybe they were making targ milk.
They could milk. They could eat that shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that ethical?
We will get back to the story
probably
in,
like a
in a
pig.
moment, but we did have, as I mentioned,
Oh, yes.
we do have a minor haiku controversy. And what the deal is, for those who are unaware, we do have a firm policy that for every review that somebody writes for us on one of the podcast services, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, whatever you like, you write a review, you email us, you let us know. Feedback at itsgotstartrek.com.
Haiku.
Dan will make a custom haiku for you
Fine,
For you.
but do not make a spectacle about it.
when you write a review, okay? Cool. We are all on the same page now.
Or else
I like it.
you get an FU.
And now, here's the thing. Our very good podcast buddy, David Joseph Moody, wrote us a review a couple months ago. And then he recently added the following to the review.
That was extremely honorable.
Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I am updating this review specifically in the hopes that I will get my fracking haiku. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Okay. Okay.
Aren't they wonderful?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, David. We did do your haiku.
We did. It was one of the first.
It was one of the first haikus. that we
One of
did.
the first haiku.
Haikus for
and
you.
we have a clip of that because it was from episode 254.
Was it haiku number 2?
254 of the It's Got Star Trek podcast when we discussed Star Trek Voyager's parturition. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to play a clip from our show.
Now, hold on a damn minute.
Now, Dan has pointed out in the past that it can be a little confusing if I'm playing a clip from our show, but we're we're on our show.
Bear with
now,
us.
I find that confusion charming.
Nonsense.
But Dan has argued rather convincingly that it may be a little bit too far on the
It throws me off every time.
on the aggravating scale for our audience. So tonight, I thought what I'll do is I will add a little flavor to the clip. You know, I'll use the soundboard to add a little bit of an echo,
little flavor.
so that you can differentiate
little cilantro.
the clip from what's currently the show, what we're doing
You
right
play
now.
games with death, little warrior.
Well, we'll see. It's an experiment. We'll try this out. So I wanted to play the clip so that David could hear in case he missed it the first time around.
Okay, here it is. Oh, jeez. Based upon David Joseph Moody's name.
Okay.
That he put for his review, because different people put different names. for
God,
reviews.
some people use a handle.
Yes.
Some
Your
people
ass
use
is in a
their
cage.
A lever,
it's all
a
echoing.
lever, a handle.
Is this haiku going to have a pun in it too?
I don't know.
I mean, you should know because you wrote it.
I never thought about it that way.
Okay, well, you read the haiku and let us know.
Here we go.
We'll figure it out.
Journey of auras, ocean deep in baritone, breathing with knowledge.
Okay, that's pretty good. So there you go, David. We totally did an episode 254.
August 30th or 33rd.
Well, it was
like August 33rd or something, right?
Of this year.
We recorded that episode on August 30th.
Yeah. It came out on August 33rd.
No, it came out on September 2nd.
There's no such date, baby.
Which maybe that counts as August 33rd.
Did you
but-
ever read that book, The Month of October? It was about like this month of October and all this. And all this awesome shit happened during this month. It was like a kid's book with a hardcover and drawings and stuff. And like it was shaped
What the
like
fuck
a
are you talking
it was like a kid's book.
I don't know. I thought maybe you had some clue,
No,
Jesse.
it was called the 1st of October. That's what it was called, the 1st of October. And it looked like a Dr. Seuss style book. It wasn't Dr. Seuss, but it had like all that and told you all about all the awesome shit that happened during October.
Wow.
And when I learned there was no October,
That's interesting.
When I learned there was no October, I was like really sad.
Really?
Anyway, yeah, go on.
That's a bummer, dude. Who wrote that shit?
I don't know, but it was a
Jesse,
real letdown when it wasn't true.
Please don't encourage him. David.
Is he making that shit up?
David, we hope you enjoed the haiku. If you want to hear it in full context, because we did provide a lot of other context around that, a much longer section of that particular show. So.
See, what I thought this whole time is I thought I somehow offended him, and all this time he's been like stewing and what's it called when you're stewing? Like you're like
chowdering.
You know, when you're sitting there all like
steaming.
When you're sitting there going like brooding. Isn't there another word for brooding? What are all the words for brooding?
All right, Dan, how about this? You load up the thesaurus.com. Although I don't like thesaurus.com these days, they got bought out. So I would prefer the Merriam-Webster thesaurus or the Oxford thesaurus. But you load up whatever thesaurus you'd like to load up. I will continue our discussion of the A plot.
No, I didn't actually.
Of this episode.
I didn't think it was so dramatically as brooding, but I was wondering. I was like, I mean, I don't expect people to give me feedback. Let's make that clear. I don't expect feedback. I don't expect anything from anyone.
Well, I'm going to put my marker down for please send feedback specifically for Dan. And you can do that at feedback@itsgotstartrek.com. Subject line, this is for Dan. Judging Dan's performance. Maybe we might need a separate email for that.
This is what I think.
But in the meantime, you can send it to feedback@itsgotstartrek.com. Okay.
I select you to die.
All right. Well, we'll see. Okay.
Jam on it.
So fundamentally, the story sort of starts out with Ma being a prodigal son. You know, it's like a prodigal son, sort of, where he's gone through some adventures, gone through some challenges. He's come home to the farm. We don't see his mom, but we hear her, and he appears to be almost suffering through a self-penance because of whatever he feels he's dealing with. The
Did you notice that he had like some kind of grease stains or something on his clothing, but Malor didn't?
Well, maybe it's because he was doing all the work and Malor was playing video games.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was part of the problem I had, is that he came back to the farm and he's like, why am I the one stomping all the picking all the worms?
Malor,
he was
stomping they were talking about how
drinking all the worms.
Malor got those horns. It's because they ran over a brush devil. He was saying, I killed it. It's like, oh, you ran over it. Two things about that.
I felled it.
Those bones are pretty fucking big. To A, be hiding in a brush, and B, to be run over in the first place.
Those bones got caught on those other bones when they went to like the planet.
Like, what kind of brush does that thing hide in, you know?
Yeah, well, I hadn't even thought about that.
Exactly.
Like, how do you
That's a big brush.
And it's like, how do you casually run over it and kill it? You must have a really big fucking flying thing.
It was a sizable ship.
Well, that van, truck, ship, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever it was.
But the thing about this story with Ma is his story. His story is very serious. It's like a serious story. And then they surround him with humor with his brother Malor, and then with Boimler and Mariner. Like, there's these diversions that are fun, but it's all circling around a pretty intense storyline. And I really enjoy that they're able to pull that off. They're just good they're good writers. They're able to cocoon this serious character drama,
lots of Klingon stuff
in a bunch of goofy stuff. Not even counting the Migleemo stuff.
Speaking of Mariner, the second time through, I didn't notice until the second time, but during the opening, he got like a call on his comm device.
Yes,
and it was
with
like
the Starfleet symbol,
and he threw it, and that must have been Mariner calling him.
It was the whole. She was calling him the whole time.
Yeah, I know. And I didn't realize the first.
Ferengi
I didn't even.
Yes, he called it a Ferengi scam.
I didn't even really notice it the first time because I didn't think to look for it, but second time I did.
And there was like an awesome combat scene, and like stuff was like catching on fire and stuff. That was all wild.
Now that you isolated that sounds very similar to the Bleeps, the Sweeps, and the Creeps from Spaceballs.
Right. And then we're gonna have to cut some of this out so we can make it seem like it's back to back.
It's more funny. It's more funny to leave it in. You know,
because they're on different pages.
Put a little dent. Everyone's always like, Dan's such a genius with the sounds, but it makes it more human when sometimes you have some trouble.
Yeah, you don't want it. I mean, you don't want it to sound too synthetic, right? You want it to have some kind of personality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
The bleeps.
Yeah. Pretty much exactly the same rhythm.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
What was it? Riker Fries Enterprise? I can't remember.
Riker fries.
Riker fries.
Riker thighs.
Riker Thighs. That. Yee. I got distracted. Oh, there we go. Okay.
It was Riker. It was. Wesley needs phasers, Enterprise, and I said Riker makes faces, Enterprise.
Okay, thank you.
Lisa needs braces, Enterprise.
Thank you for that reminder.
No, man, stop. Boims, read the room.
We touched on it a little bit earlier with talking about Boimler's bearded Boimler, and the changes in his personality.
Bearded
as a result.
Boimler and the bombastic butt thrower.
The thing is,
damn, dude,
what's so great is that this is funny. It is amusing to see Boimler being all in his quote unquote Klingon phase, as Mariner puts it. But it makes perfect sense, right? It makes absolute sense that, especially in conjunction with his beard, he's perceiving that he believes that by growing the beard he'll become braver. And in the process, he's just willing himself to do more and more ridiculous stuff.
What's the thing about Boimler from earlier seasons? It was like a
brave Boimler. What was it?
Something kind of brave
bold Boimler. It was bold Boimler. Yeah, that was
right.
what he was all about.
Like he
the
never.
bold
I don't
Boimler.
think he gave that up really.
Yeah, he never did. I mean, and Boimler always was brave.
Yeah,
he had some insecurities, but it does seem that some of those
like
insecurities
super
are going by the wayside.
It was interesting that both Boimler and Mariner could navigate through like Klingon culture, but for different reasons.
Yes.
Boimler whereas Mariner like knows how to navigate like the Klingon emotional landscape. Boimler was like not trying to navigate it; he was trying to face it head on and be the target of it.
Okay.
So he wanted to experience it. Like he wanted to absorb the whole thing, whereas she like was like knew how to like be cool with everybody. But they both seemed to be get away like just fine because like they were cool. It's funny that Mariner, who's all undisciplined, gets like along really well with Klingons.
Yeah,
it's really
she
cool.
has a lot of Klingon friends.
The dude that threw up his blood wine. By the way, I wish I could get a Klingon hangover where it's like you can like be hungover and puking blood wine and be like, oh, that's so crazy, because anytime I've had a hangover, I'm never like, oh man, that's silly fun,
Sometimes it was like
a hangover.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, oh, I'm such a scamp.
But if you have a hangover so bad,
I drank too much.
He had a hangover so bad that he puked on the job. That should be a sign of a problem.
I do think, generally speaking, it's considered a problem. I don't know about specifically in Klingon culture.
But that was that guy. Was that the same guy that got drunk during that whole Lower Decks episode?
Yeah,
that she led around town.
That was Corin. He was from season 1, episode 2, the second episode ever, Envoys, which was that was a really fun introduction to. I mean, not introduction technically to Mariner because it was episode 2, but it was where we started learning a little bit more about Mariner's level of talent and expertise.
And that's Corin's played by Jess Harnell, who, if you look at his IMDb picture, he looks like a rock star weirdo person.
So like Boimler was like messing with those dudes like knife darts or something.
Yeah,
and then like.
What were all those?
Was he just like being annoying, or did he like was?
Were you? I mean, when he got thrown,
it's not clear exactly. He was over there, and he was like fingering their shit, and it was clear they got annoyed, and then like he came back, and his eye was all swollen. He was like, I actually got thrown by something.
Yeah, you see him get thrown.
Yeah, I wanted to know why he got thrown too. I want to know that I was trying to look it up, and I didn't look too long. But like that kind of Klingon knife that looks like that's got the blades in all directions. That looks like it's meant to be.
It wasn't like a mechlith. I don't think it was something else. I don't know if it's got a proper name or not.
I'm just gonna look up Klingon knives.
Write in at feedback@itsgotstartrek.com.
Are you gonna look at Chakotaya?
Klingon knives.
No, that's for scripts, bro.
KlingonKnives.com. All right. Yes. We talked about Colton Dunn, but did you know who played Kalara, who was the Klingon who was hitting on Mach?
Oh, was that the same actor that does the Klingon lady on Discovery?
That's right, Mary Chieffo.
Oh, yeah,
she plays
Mary Chieffo.
She plays L'Rell. Yeah. And she's great as L'Rell, and I thought she was really great as Kalara. It was an interesting scene. It was kind of funny, and she was into him the whole time. She was into him, whether he was a captain or not a captain, until he was hanging out with mariners.
Yeah.
And then she was all disgusted.
She like took
"Fuck
his
this
hat.
guy."
She was wearing his hat. It was like a silly farmer hat.
Ooh, what crawled up her boob window and died?
Yeah. Fantastic.
Boob window.
Yeah, they're referring to that part that they always wear that like because
The
it's like,
Klingon boob window.
they show the cleavage, but it goes up at the top, so it's like a circle hole instead of just being like cut at the top.
A circle hole.
It's a circle hole.
Right.
A circle hole.
It's a circle hole.
So okay,
I mean, it's a really interesting hole.
We got to go through these challenges. Again, serious story, but they added the comedy and they included a good Star Trek style message about teamwork and friendship and listening to your teammates and all that other good stuff. But the first one, of course, was the pain stick business, which is like what we saw with Worf on TNG. Had to go through the pain stick thing at some point. Although this seems to be a more advanced, slightly more advanced, complicated version.
Okay,
It's a lot of voltage.
So I'm wondering, like, okay, the solution Boimler had is they all got connected to each other, so they'd spread out the voltage among them. I don't know.
Not
if that
100% sure.
Yeah, I don't. I think it would take I would feel like it would take more mass to spread out like that the voltage than just a few of them.
Maybe they used a neutrino.
You, Jesse,
stream.
and me, and Jesse. We all should test this.
No.
After the podcast is over, we'll hold hands and stick a fork in one of the receptacles. How's that?
I thought Boimler. I like Boimler's point about or when Boimler said, "I love Klingon bureaucratic minutia," because that is a good point. Because for this warrior race, they have all these rules and like ways of getting around shit. Like Worf, when it's like if you die in battle, you go to Stovokor. But like Worf injured himself, and so if you go through this ritual, it's like you can lawyer your way up to Stovokor.
Yeah. There's like a council and stuff.
Yeah, so right. So there's all these like little bylaws and rules you have to remember. But
which makes sense if you have a warrior society and you really want to keep that going. You kind of need to set up a whole bunch of barriers to that shit.
Yeah.
But speaking of Worf asking Rifer to kill him, Rifer to fill him.
I thought you were going to say speaking about Worf going ham. But that's not what you said. You were referring to when Worf had an empty plastic jug fall on him and it broke one of his spines.
One of those funny boxes.
So at one point, Mariner says to Mach, she says, "It isn't honorable to give up your life for no reason." This is when Mach says that when he has to sacrifice his crew, he's like, "I'm going to sacrifice myself instead." And she's like, "It's not honorable to give up your life for no reason." But isn't that kind of like what Worf was doing when he sacrificed his life for no reason? When he wanted Riker to, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you sacrifice...
Yeah, but that wasn't for no reason in the Klingon context.
But in this context, it would be for the sake of honor, right? Like, if you had to sacrifice one of your crew and you sacrificed yourself...
I see what you're
couldn't
saying.
Couldn't that also feasibly fall under the umbrella of, like, dying for honor? Or is it a coward's way out that you were too weak to be able to have the strength to kill one of your own crew or something? You're too weak.
Maybe let me know what the question is.
You're too weak to be able to like kill the one you love and shit like that.
Please back up for a second because I'm confused by the question because what you're saying that Mach wanted to kill himself for honor, just like Worf. So there is no difference.
Well, so the reason Mach was supposed to kill one of his crew members.
Yes.
And he was like, "I won't kill my crew member, I'll kill myself."
Yes.
Now, my question is that considered honorable because you're killing yourself because of Klingon rule, or is that like weak because you didn't kill a loved one instead?
No, I think it's considered honorable. I think Klingons are still like not about like murdering their friends and family if they can help it.
Right.
They're about sacrifice and all that.
Although that move,
unless you're talking about a Duras. You're talking about one of them Duras people, and that goes all the way back, generations back to Enterprise time. They are all pieces of shit. It is a weird theory. It is really odd that Star Trek, which is supposed to be all progressive, puts forward a theory of genetic assholery in the Duras line. Like specifically the Duras line, going way back, they're all tangled up with Romulans and all sorts of other motherfuckers. Yeah. Anyway, just a side note about that.
I thought that the whole... trickery Boimler did where so Mach had to sacrifice his own crew member. So Boimler was like, "Well, just do the rite of conscription to Barg. That way you can make him your crew member."
They used to have that back in the late 60s and early 70s in the United States.
Okay, I'm not done yet. Not done.
I was making a Vietnam War.
I know. You
joke.
could, but yeah, but that was, I was in the middle. I was in the middle of saying.
They were in the middle of Saigon.
I was
the perfect time to interject.
I was in the middle of saying something.
In the middle of the jungle. All right, sorry. Of course. Yes.
Okay.
Please.
I was describing the whole situation. Now I'm gonna have to start over again.
I understand. I accept that. The audience at home, they accept it as well.
Okay, so Boimler, Mock had to, in order to pass.
What a great show!
So in order to pass the test, Mock had to sacrifice one of his own crew members. So what Boimler was saying, he's like, use the right of conscription against Barg, so you make him one of your crew members, so you can sacrifice him and do an old reversal move on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty sneaky. That was like a blue deck.
And the other people in the council were like, go for it. We'll back it up.
That was a blue deck move, or like if you're
blue deck specifically referring to Magic the Gathering,
or if you're playing Hearthstone, it would be a priest move. But
I'm not playing Hearthstone.
Well, I played Hearthstone. I haven't played it in a long time, but I used to.
No, I think it's great.
I'm just saying, I'm not. We're talking to more than just each other, Patrick. Do you realize there is a whole audience of people out there?
I know, and
maybe
a surprising number of them have stuck around after the first episode. Okay.
And so some of
Jesse
them
promised not to do any clinking today. There was three clinks. Three clinks. At least it was any.
It was musical.
It's towards the end of this.
It wasn't
towards the end of the second break.
It was a nice euphonious.
So it took a while for the clinking to start. Okay.
You are the one whose ashes shall pave Grethor.
Anyway, Dan, I apologize. The floor is yours.
Anyways, as I was saying, some people might play Hearthstone and they would get that reference about the priest. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Good.
Priest is kind of like a blue deck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Dig it.
Jesse's just saying, yeah, he's not playing Hearthstone.
I understand the blue deck.
All right.
There was a person named Enoj. That's Jane spelled backwards.
I didn't catch that. Wasn't that the bird people? One of the bird
ate my
people?
bird. No, the bird people was Legnog and Gonald.
Well, that was the thing. I thought Enoj was the bird person at the play. Anyway, we're not talking about the bird people yet. Let's conclude our discussion.
Enoj was a Klingon.
Was it a Klingon?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. Well, we'll find out more. So if it's a Klingon, it's appropriate to mention here.
Wait a second.
Maybe I brought up the bird people. I thought Enoj was the pink bird lady who was on the Cloacan
when they got
planet.
to the planet.
You ate my bird.
She was like, welcome.
Gosh, now I don't know.
The episode just came out, so it's hard to know sometimes. Sometimes IMDb.
Where was what was the oversight council? Was that the Cloacans or was that the Klingon? That was the Klingons.
That was the Klingons. Was the oversight?
Okay,
council.
so Enoj was the Klingon.
Was she the other Klingon on the council other than? What's his name?
Here's what I'm reading from the transcript. It says you can still be a captain, just not in his crappy fleet.
Because you had Corin, and then was that Enoj then?
Because this is a transcript, they don't always give the names of the speaker. So I'll give you the names of the speaker when they give them. You can still be a captain, just not in his crappy fleet. Klingons cannot simply transfer to a new ship when they please. And then Enoj says, no, they need a 2/3 majority vote from the Oversight Council.
Gotcha. I know.
Laughs menacingly.
Gotcha. I get it. I feel you. I know where you're at. I know where you're landing at.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to land.
Well done. Good little bit of detective work on that.
There were a lot of fucking Klingon words in this episode.
There were. Now, we have a few minutes left before the break, and then we do need to talk about Dr. Migleemo's storyline. So what are some final things about the A-plot here? We talked about the pain sticks and how they resolve that. The Targ business was cute, because it was like a big Targ that they get to keep at the end.
It wasn't fair that, like, Mock called Malor, like, a lazy bazoosh or whatever, because Malor came up with the idea of like each grabbing a leg of that big Targ, and then Mock was like, "You're a lazy piece of shit," and like that was a good idea. It doesn't matter if he's a lazy piece of shit or not. That's a good idea. Yeah. But Mock wrote him off just because he thought he judged the person, not his idea.
And it was part of the lesson of the episode.
Yeah,
a sub lesson among other lessons.
Sub lesson.
It's a sub lesson.
It's a sub lesson.
That's what I said.
It's a sub lesson.
It's a term coined by Jesse.
Well, I mean, I can give you, like, you want to hear any Klingon words here?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
So there's, of course, Patak, we know, which is insult. And I found the closest definitions I could. There's Bagul. The line was, "You're late. I've had nothing to serve but Bagul."
It sounds like a Sopranos type thing.
Yeah, I know. It does.
Gabagool.
Gabagool.
Maybe, I'm probably pronouncing these incorrectly. technically too. That's like a liquor or ale or something. Then there's Clara says, I did not expect to see you in this puch or whatever. And that was when she was talking about the bar, and the bartender was like, "Oh," and the closest I could find for that, it's like a vat or a barrel for storing liquor. So it's probably like like a shitty bar,
and
like
it's a chain bar.
Yeah.
You mentioned it was a chain.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. How could I be?
That was a good joke.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention the thrash.
You were nearly remiss.
I was the thrash lute band. Did you see the thrash
lute?
Yeah, they had the thrash lute.
There was like a concertina.
There's a concertina.
yeah, it was, and that was just, by the way, just a normal concertina, which we've seen.
Yeah, I know.
We've seen Klingons play it before, and it is funny because Star Trek spends all this time making these futuristic alien instruments, and they're like, just give him a concertina.
Yeah, I know. He had like some crazy saxophone-looking crazy thing, and like some kind of weird violin, but just a regular concertina on this thrash. But he goes, the thrash lute player asked me to watch his performance. So you are in Parmach with him? So Parmach...
looking for Parmach in all the wrong places. That's the episode of Deep Space Nine where Worf and Dax start hanging out.
So the closest definition I could find, I didn't search exhaustively, but in my brief search, the Parmach, the closest definition I could find was large game animal indigenous to Konos. So maybe making Parmach is like having hot animal sex.
Clearly, that's how it's used.
Yeah, of course.
Any other Klingon words before we head to break?
Hunt.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, if it isn't my old chudich.
Chudich.
We've heard that a number of times.
Yeah, that means it's like literal means like your aide or your second, second in command.
That goes back to the old TNG days.
There's one called like Urwi Pew. It's apostrophe URW capital I apostrophe PU apostrophe. Are they just taking shit from Klingon dictionaries at this point? Like where?
I hope so.
What episodes are they referencing with this? And why?
That particular one I don't know. The Chadish I know.
Yeah, I know a few.
Chadish nuts.
But the one you're talking about, no idea.
And I want to know the significance of capital letters. Why have a capital I in the middle of the word? I don't know. It must mean something. Anyway, Urwi means like, the line was, this is the bar where Martok killed 12 Urwi Poo. It means traitor. There's just a couple more. There was the part where he said, experience beej. Experience beej.
Yeah, right. You experience beej.
Experience beej. You experience beej.
Beej is punishment. There's Lujwi Pew. Are these
double dumbass on you?
There's Lujwi Pew. It says Barg laughs at the test takers and says, "Look at these Lujwi Pew." Basically, it means losing streak or losers. I think there's like one or two more. There's lazy hikad. You are a lazy hikad. HIQ is a liquor ale. Odd can mean have the length of, or it means vein. So like a vein of liquor. Someone else suggested it means blood vessel. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe a liquor vein just means like a drunken, like someone who's like full of, their veins are full of booze and they can't do anything. I don't know. There's chatlich. It was
This is Chachi.
Chachi. It's spelled CHTLAH. And that just means nonsense or balderdash.
Balderdash.
And there's
malarkey.
And there's one more.
Both of you have proven your toduj.
Just means courage. All right. So there we go. A little lesson in Klingon.
Well, thank you, Dan. That was great. And,
thanks, dude.
That sets us up very nicely to go on a brief break. And then when we return, we can conclude our discussion of this episode. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, man.
All right.
Is that ethical?
Yeah, I believe it is. We'll find out how that conversation goes when we get back right after the break. All right, we are back.
Then prepare for Stovokor.
Don't mind if I do.
Jesse actually asked me before the show if there was a particular clip. I know we're moving on, but there's a particular clip.
Oh no, that's fine.
From Malore that you were asking about earlier, about near the end of the episode.
You mean before the podcast?
Yes.
Before the podcast.
Before the podcast started
Before the
recording.
podcast.
Yeah. Jesse made a
We
request
were
of
just
you.
hanging.
Yeah.
Help, brother! I fell on the bones. Fell on the bones. I can't feel my leg. Fell on the bones. I can't feel my leg. Fell on the bones. I can't feel my leg. Fell on the bones. I can't feel my leg. Fell on the bones. I can't feel my leg. Fell on the bones. I can't feel my leg. Fell on the bones. I can't feel my leg.
All right. It's always one too many. it's like literally one too many.
He's all like, I'm going to die.
I also have one.
I think that's one of the best beats that I've found.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now you just got to actually.
Yeah.
He made it. He made it good.
Add some business to it. Woohoo! I will also conclude our discussion of the A plot, the Klingon plot, by positively commenting about the continued persistent use in Lower Decks of the light purple Klingon blood, which was something that began in Star Trek VI, because in Star Trek VI, I guess there was some sort of worry about the ratings, so they, instead of having red blood, they had pinkish looking blood.
And it was floating around in big globs.
Yes.
And
That's right.
Low gravity.
Usually they didn't do that in other Star Treks, like in TNG and stuff like that, but Lower Decks has always been like, no, Klingons, it's canon
that dude
Klingons
got stabbed.
They got some purple-ass pink purple blood, and it's great.
It's tight.
Good. Okay, now we can get into the Migleemo's delectable dilemma, the B plot.
As plorpful as those on a Nara Prime.
Plorpful.
Now, as I mentioned
It's like
last
a word
week,
that you would say.
I know, right?
as I mentioned last week, I'm a diehard piss pig.
Piss pig.
This makes Dan uncomfortable.
From Migleemo?
No, yeah, well, yes, exactly. Because last week I brought it up because Lauren Lapkus, who plays plays Jennifer, the Andorian, she is part of the podcast Freedom, along with Scott Aukerman and Paul F. Tompkins.
This human is full of words.
He's the Migleemo.
And he plays Dr. Migleemo, and he's also one of the hosts, along with Tawny Newsome, of the official Star Trek podcast. Shit. And I love Paul F. Tompkins. He's one of my favorite people ever. Yes, and Piss Pig is a term of endearment for fans of Freedom.
You dare insult me, human!
So it was fun to see that, because I love Paul F. Tompkins and I love Dr. Migleemo. He's one of my favorite characters introduced on Lower Decks, because he's absurd but is interesting. He's got a pathos to, right? There's something going on there that's beyond just the buffoonery.
It's a weird society.
Even though he is a buffoon, and we learn a lot. There's a lot of world building for the Cloacans, which is a hilarious joke.
Yes.
Because you know what a cloaca is, right?
Right. Okay. The names. Okay. All I could think of when I heard the names Legnog, I thought of a combination of eggnog and foghorn leghorn.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly, sir.
And Gonald, I thought of Donald Duck.
Or gonads.
Or gonads. Yes, I did think of that too.
Yeah.
And cloacan, all I thought of was the Joe cloacan.
What's a cloaca?
But like it's spelled Khan.
Yes,
so
they
I
spell it fancy.
No, but I thought
they pronounce it cloaca.
No, I know.
They got fancy asses.
But I'm saying I was also reminded of Khan, as in like that guy in Star Trek Khan.
You mean in Space Seed and Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan?
Because it's spelled KLOWAKHAN.
City Alpha 5.
I see. This is City Alpha 5.
So do you think it was a reference to Khan?
No, I think it was primarily the cloaca joke.
I just think like I felt like they got these names like they just pulled them out of the air. They were just like they just thought of whatever.
That's the best way to do it, man.
I bet you it took a week to come up with these names. A week in the writer's room. And for
This is Jockey!
For those who are unfamiliar with bird biology,
You ain't my bird.
Cloaca is something common to birds and some lizards and some other things.
This is my Boyd voice.
But birds tend to usually have cloacas, and a cloaca is sort of like
it's like a bird sex organ.
Sort of a general purpose
it's
asshole.
Yeah, it's an innie and an outie hole.
Well, they use it
for pee, poo, and sex.
They use it for sex and grinding gravel.
And
no,
pee
that's
and
a
poo.
gizzard.
No, the gizzard grinds the gravel, but
no, the cloaca grinds the gravel, but they also have sex, so they have to be careful.
The cloaca grinds the gravel.
So they have to be careful not to mix up those actions, so it doesn't grime the genitals of the creature trying to have sex with.
I mean, I get where you're going with this, but I also kind of don't.
I don't think that happens.
I should kill you for those words.
I think you're projecting.
We would like to. Well, okay, I don't know what that means, but we would like to provide some education for our audience. I think most people who are listening to this show are totally aware of what a cloaca is, but
this human is full of words.
If not, definitely you gotta go check it out. Go check it out. Go look on the on the Google or the Chat GPT?
Google Dan Glavitz.
Or no, type in cloaca is what I'm getting at. Okay.
You would behave like month-old gach, and not in a good way.
And as we mentioned earlier, part of what makes this B story so great is that it's so dumb. It's such
so
an
dumb.
absurd concept from top to bottom.
Yeah.
That first that they've introduced this idea that the Cloacans have this obsession with food. Now we already saw that with Dr. Migleemo, but that up to this episode that could have merely been a personal characteristic of Dr. Migleemo himself. We now learn that it is a part of his culture. And,
like the critics are like officials of their society.
yes, and then they have this obsession with food.
Yeah, so they have the great seating chart. They have if you're punished by getting put in the book of the flavorless, there's flavor prison.
There's no butter.
And then oh yeah, and we learned that. Did Migleemo ever puff up before when he was upset
We've
or
seen
anxious?
him puff up
Yeah,
at least once.
He has puffed up. Yeah.
It seems like the kind of thing
it
that
wasn't as comical as like two of them going like
Well, it seems like the kind of thing you wouldn't even really have to explain with any exposition what it meant. It was very obvious that them puffing up meant,
Yeah.
but it was just kind of what makes it part of what makes
They're
it funny.
birds.
They're birds.
And again, Lower Decks doing what the animated series did so well, the original, the animated series, which is utilizing the fact that they can go much further out there, as the kids say, far out.
I say that.
Then the live action shows, even modern live action shows, have limitations of budget and practicality and what they can pull off in terms of CGI and masks and changing the proportions and stuff of aliens. And so in Lower Decks, we get to see a character like Migleemo, who it's not impossible to produce in live action, but would be a fairly heavy lift to do it well.
Yes.
And here he just integrates right in. Yes. And then he has all these great lines like, I cook the mind. He refers to himself as a chef of the mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one line that
and of course the yeasty lump of loaf. A yeasty lump of loaf of an idea.
A yeasty lump loaf of an idea.
Lump loaf, yes.
So there was one line that was I kind of like found questionable.
Okay.
It was the part where Migleemo says a cloacan without a sense of taste is no cloacan at all. That's ableist.
I mean, it is.
So-
And we see that
It's part of their culture.
So what if you're a cloacan that did
birds? It's a bird world.
well, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good.
Do they eat birds?
Birds on
Birds
bird.
are pretty tasty.
I mean, but like if you're a cloacan born without taste buds, then you're pretty much ostracized from their culture. That's not cool.
The impression we're getting is that it's a shitty culture. They live in a shitty culture. Because I agree, it is ableist. But Dr. Migleemo is sensitive to these things, and we've seen him be sensitive to this type of stuff before.
So is it only Starfleet that's like all like, you know, super advanced culturally and monetarily? Like it's a post-scarcity society, but in Klingon you have Darsex, so and then you have like
I think they're the only
gold
ones,
you have gold pressed latinum, and then we know the Orions like jewels, and then we know the Cloacans are ableist. Like is it only Starfleet that are the progressive ones?
The Federation, yeah.
Or Federation, I'm sorry, you're right. Federation.
We have on various occasions noted that as much as we do like Star Trek and we were like, oh yes, it'd be great to be living in peace and stuff, when you get down to it, and Deep Space Nine was one of the few areas that sort of self-examined the Federation in this way. When you get down to it, the Federation is very Western, specifically American-centric.
Chief O'Brien?
It has sort of colonial,
kind of a NATO
colonial attitudes disguised as, oh, we just love to explore and learn. But sometimes when push comes to shove, they're like, oh, we're going to fucking explore this shit.
We're dangerous.
Yes, they are.
Finders keepers.
And so I think, Dan, I think that is a more subtle flaw.
Subtle body.
Sometimes it's a flaw that comes up in Star Trek. If you analyze its philosophical perspective, the foundation upon which it's sitting, it does have a very pro-Western, pro-American, sort of pro-colonial, intellectual colonialism in a way.
Yeah.
Is that ethical?
Neoliberal.
Yes, it is. It is sort of neoliberal in a lot of ways, and in the proper sense of the term.
What are you talking about? That's not a real thing.
What are you talking about? Those aren't cooking words.
It is. Look up neoliberalism and be upset.
They did that this episode. I've pointed out in another episode, I pointed this thing out where they said a phrase twice, and they did it again this episode with those 2 clips I just played.
All right.
They begin, I'll play them again.
Okay. What are you talking about? That's not a real thing.
What are you talking about? Those aren't cooking words.
They did that same structure. What are you talking about? Ba ba da ba da. Twice.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
That's how they talk in Arizona.
Yeah, that's a good King of the Hill joke. Bobby Hill. Okay.
You look a cock.
What are you talking about?
What is the point of this nonsense?
I ask myself that nearly every day.
Interestingly, some of the most delicious Star Trek food ever has happened in a cartoon in this episode.
Yes.
That meat looked delicious
It
with
looked
the mac and cheese.
amazing.
Yes, it did.
And
I wanted to eat it.
The cherry goo.
Yeah, it was like a cherry compote.
And there was was it macaroni or scalloped potatoes?
It was
I can't remember.
macaroni
Yeah, it was
with
fucking-
breadcrumbs.
It looked so good.
on top.
Yeah.
Let's eat food. Let's eat all the food.
But they didn't even mention the cherry stuff, but that you could see it.
Yeah.
That you didn't even need to mention. And there was like a cherry on top of the steak.
But yeah, birds are into vomited millet and shit. So it's funny that
millet.
So it's funny that these guys
Sounds like a heavy metal band.
are all into food.
Well, they
like
don't
that.
have any teeth.
I think that's part of the
That's
joke.
why they have those funny little.
I know, but that's
implements.
that's why it's funny that they're so into
Yeah,
food.
I know.
You know,
They put it on their tongue. They're like,
oh, they were talking about Okay, first of all, was there they mentioned the carpets when they get in?
Yes, that's a
TNG,
joke.
Was that a TNG reference?
Let me guess, you never vacuumed the carpet. There's been a whole lot of inside jokes about carpets related to TNG,
And the
related to Picard season 3.
I guess we died and went to Flores
and
in
part
hell.
of the joke is that when they remastered the TNG episodes into HD, you could see a lot of things more clearly, including some of the cardboardy stuff, and they would have to put up these panels on some of the screens to avoid reflections of the cameraman and stuff like that. And it's the kind of stuff.
It's true.
Yeah.
This is
You don't really notice it on the standard definition, but when they remastered some of these things, they either had to cover up or just leave. And one of those things is you see the carpet and you see the vacuum marks or the lack thereof.
Whoa.
I remember when the HD first came around and people were talking about.
And by that we mean high definition.
People were talking about how it's problematic for newscasters now and things
a lot
that.
of newscasters lost their jobs. They had to redo all the sets, and it's no joke.
Now, hold on a damn minute.
It was in the early 2000s. There were a number of newscasters that didn't get to stick around because they didn't look so great in the.
I select you to die.
Topper Shut stuck around.
Yeah, well, he's a handsome fellow.
Then prepare for Stovacore.
Jesse, you were mentioning the lights. I wanted to bring that up because there was the
Okay. Anytime. Anytime.
Oh, this human is full of worms.
So Freeman was talking about how Starfleet lighting was attuned to suit all living beings. Remember that discussion we had before about how the sun on that planet, the fake sun on that, not planet, the cruise ship the size of a moon, and how they were saying the fake sun is made to make everybody perfectly tan. And I suggested it did that through nanobots in the photons.
Yes, and I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, you had a different idea, Patrick. What was your theory?
My idea was it's just very adjustable pixel level adjustments on the lights and
on the
UV,
sensors.
UV way. So you just scan if somebody's walking below you, you can follow along and change the amount of UV rays.
So do you think that's what happened here as well? Do you think that's the same technology for how they were able to attune the light for every creature? Because how would you do that? Because you can't take away light so easily. It's like if you're lighting someone next to you, that light is going to bleed over into your light zone. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I make
your light zone?
How do I make my light level perfect and your light level perfect? Wait a second. Wait. I'm not done.
The light resolution.
I'm not done. Let me just finish.
Let him finish.
Let me finish my question before you start answering it or telling me what it is I'm asking.
By the way, this is right about on time.
What?
Where I aggravate you.
Yeah, it's
not entirely on purpose.
I know you don't on purpose. I'm just saying, this is like sometimes my when I ask a question or make a point, I'm not necessarily going where you think I am. A lot of times I am, but sometimes I'm not.
I get it, and I'm just saying it's usually around an hour and 15 minutes.
If you want to clarify,
into the show.
I'm happy for you to clarify what I'm going to say.
All right.
But just wait a second.
Marking the time.
Okay, so let's say Jesse and I are standing next to each other. I like it super bright. He likes it super dim.
Not true.
That's not the point.
Experience beige! You experience beige!
Jesse, this is merely by way of illustration.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry.
Illustrating his point.
So I like it really. I like it really light. Jesse likes it really dark, and Jesse's standing right next to me.
Turn off the lights, baby.
Jesse, please. Please, Jesse.
I'm trying to help.
It's not helping.
Okay.
It's not helping.
The operative term, trying.
It's like why I get. If I told you about this, I get so anxious trying to finish sentences. I feel like I have to rush to the end of them. That's why I get so worked up because I'm like, am I gonna get to the end of this before everyone tries to derail everything I'm saying? You know, these things, these questions and these statements, and then you complain to me. You're like, Dan, it takes you forever to make a point. It's like, no, it doesn't take me that long. You make it take a long time.
I don't think we've ever complained about.
You have done it.
I have no recollection.
You like throw molasses at me and then call me slow.
Well said, sir.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, so if Jesse likes it dark, I like it light. We're standing right next to each other. How is the light going to satisfy us both? Because the light from my brightness is going to bleed over into his darkness. That's all I was saying.
I get it. I'm just suggesting.
See how quick that could have been?
I'm just suggesting that in the future, the resolution of the light may be sufficient so that whatever bleeding over is minimal, because they do have very pinpoint accuracy.
I think they use.
And it's more in that example. It was more about the UV and not just the light. Although it still counts. But I get it.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying for that one. But I'm talking about this is the one I'm talking about for this episode.
Yeah,
and that's why
no,
I bet they use nanobots to use cloaking technology to reflect and refract the light. And
I get it. You're into the nanobots. That's fine. And you can every episode you can come up with a reason why there should be nanobots. I
pissed wind!
And there were nanobots in the last episode.
I've expressed thousands of anal claims.
He works on a farm. Dude.
Absolutely, yeah. All the time.
I pissed wind.
Yeah.
Nanobots is a cool word, and it's fun to think about.
Yeah, it is.
So where were we? Migleemo?
We were talking about food.
The
carpet,
the blobfish. The blobfish.
Oh
was the
yeah,
other food. That also looked good.
Tandy was like cutting up ingredients like for real. Like,
yeah.
It was all like these perfect little cubes.
Yeah, because it had
this hogfish galantine has turned out as plorpful as those in a Nora Prime.
Yeah, I like because Tendy's assassin skills let her dice up the food well, and then like Rutherford's like attachment or whatever you call it, enhanced implant. Yeah, that made it he could figure out like the molecular makeup of the food to make sure it was cooked right. Yeah. They complement each other really well in that respect.
Absolutely. Yeah. Another example, like in the A plot of showing the benefits of teamwork and ingenuity and trusting in your friends and all that. Woo-hoo! Now, you didn't happen to grab the clip of Migleemo referring to when he was being criticized by the people. What was the line about strange new foods? The whole. But
I found a few chowders.
Yeah, because Migleemo has a thing where he says, "I've discovered a few chowders."
Oh,
right? They said you should be. Have you not discovered any new soups or stews? And he said, "I've discovered a few chowders."
Yeah, he says, "Shouldn't you be discovering new soups and stews? I've encountered a few chowders."
Yes. Now, I don't know if you have any clips of that.
I have nothing about chowder in it.
Nothing about it. Okay,
yeah.
So I bring that up to mention that is a bit of an inside joke.
All I have is this.
These oysters aren't delicious. They taste like shit.
And then, of course,
this hogfish galantine has turned out as plorpful as those in a Nora Prime.
So those are...
And this one.
I cook the mind.
Yeah, those are not related to what I'm talking
but
about.
But they're food related.
Yeah, but Dan, while Jesse gathers himself, I must point out that physician heal thyself, because you are now committing the same infraction that I was committing earlier.
Nonsense.
With you, because you had assumed you knew where I was going, but you got it wrong. Because I'm speaking about a very specific line.
Okay, I would say 50% I'll agree with you, but you did mention chowders, and so you're asking what sounds I had, and I was simply trying to find the sound closest to what you were looking for.
And I appreciate that. I gotta say, I do appreciate that. The reason why I was looking specifically for the soup, stews, and chowders lines was because that is an Easter egg. For
more
Paul
food, egg food.
For Paul F. Tompkins, because one of his more popular comedy Bang Bang characters is a fellow by the name of Chunky Bubbles, who's a clown who does kids performances. He performs for kids, except his whole deal is that he uses a variety of soups, stews, and chowders in his act, and so he's big. His name is Big Chunky Bubbles. And a lot of the kids get burned from the stew, and it's a very funny kid. So if you want to hear more about Big Chunky Bubbles or hear more of Paul F. Tompkins talking about soups, stews, and chowders, go look up Comedy Bang Bang, any episode where Big Chunky Bubbles is on. Especially the live episodes.
Bet they already know.
You're like president of the Paul F. Tompkins fan club.
I love Paul F. Tompkins. He's fantastic. He's just a charming fellow.
I have to correct something about what I said earlier. When I said Cloacans was spelled Klowakhan, thus sounding like Khan from Star Trek, I was wrong. It's Klowahkans, so nothing to do with Khan.
So is the H and the A are transposed?
H and the K.
H and the K.
Yeah, so nothing to do with Khan from...
so it's spelled more like Khan as opposed to Khan, because you can spell like Khan A-H, but then there's Khan K... There's Khan, but there's also Kaah.
No, I said the H and the K are reversed. It's not Khan, it's HK.
Oh, HK. Oh,
yeah.
That's so okay. That's something completely different.
Yeah, that's totally fucked.
It has nothing to fucking
do. Not even
close.
Not even close to Khan from Star Trek.
Not even fucking remotely close. Okay.
Celty Elvis.
Any other points about this excellent episode of Star Trek?
I think Migleemo should have known that replicated food wasn't going to cut it for the food critics.
Yeah, but
they didn't. They were faking it.
Yeah, but he didn't know that. You know, they were even if they.
No, but he chose like the best replicated.
Yeah, but it's replicated.
Possible.
You should have known that they want the real thing.
I don't think it's that bad. I think everybody always makes a big deal.
No. I'm sure replicated food tastes fine. I'm just saying that if you're a food connoisseur. Not necessarily that you're going to be able to taste the difference, but you might. And plus, the idea of wanting something in its original form, I can understand that novelty.
Yeah. But, to be fair, as he noted, he is not a chef. He is a chef of the mind. He's not a chef of food. He's a chef of the mind.
I cook the mind.
Oh, well, that
cooks it.
I mean, that's
I live by the ancient ways. I take my honor to the grave.
I like that you're playing some sort of clips. You had definitely given me the impression you were about to play the Chef of the Mind clip, and you've tricked us. You've tricked me. You've tricked all of us. Okay.
No, I don't actually have that clip.
Well, that's quite all right.
I have this.
I have something in mind.
That has the word mind in it.
Wow. Fantastic.
What about the lips?
No, let's not get into that. That was a commercial break thing, and that's not a main podcast thing. Okay, well, check out our Patreon. Maybe you'll hear it somewhere there. Okay, that's it. Any final thoughts about this episode before we close up shop here?
Wow, we're ending early today.
No, it's not early.
No, it's about on time.
No, I just know how fucking long it takes when I say it's time to end. I know you're gonna be like, oh wait, I forgot this.
Wait, I'm a stupid
I have a whole
thing.
game. I have a duty or no duty. I have a list of 12 times Klingons farted.
Whenever I ask if I can play those clips, you're always like, I'd love to hear them, Don.
Yes, because I would. That's what I'm saying.
I'd love to hear them, Don.
I'm saying that now, so that you're not like, so we're not like, oh, we aim for 90 minutes, and then it's like at 95 minutes, you're like, oh, by the way, I have this really fucking interesting shit that I just held back this whole time.
Fair enough. But speaking of duty or no duty, I've noticed that there's been no duty or no duties lately. Do you think they must have gotten embarrassed that I caught them in this game so many times?
I think Mike
that
McMahon's been listening.
They stopped including the word duty in their show?
I think Mike McMahon, because of last season... so many duties or no duties, and just listening to our podcast generally across all of Star Trek. I think Mike McMahon, you're probably right. The most plausible thing is that Mike McMahon, maybe not even embarrassment, maybe he just set a challenge to the writers when they got into the 5th season writing room. And he said, let me set a challenge to you, writers. Let us not say the word duty or duty.
Does he listen to the podcast?
Presumably.
He could have just...
I mean, who doesn't?
He could have...
Who doesn't listen to this podcast?
He could have just told the actors to pronounce it duty, but then who can trust an actor, right? Oh, by the way, Patrick,
they're like cattle.
Patrick, you were just guilty of finishing my thought answering my question before I was done. I was asking about the duty or no duty. You started answering it before I was done. It just so happened that you were right this time, but that's beside the point. Yeah. The point is we speak full sentences here on the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
Might makes right.
You did it again.
Might makes right.
No, it's might for right. June Rhee says might for right.
June Rhee, nobody bothers me.
Yeah, might for right.
Nobody
the local
bothers
taekwondo.
me.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying full sentences.
Okay, now let's get back to the main point, which is there something else? Are we expecting something else, or are we done? It's making me a little uncomfortable how hard you're thinking about this. Scanning up and down your...
Didn't you, where'd the name Migleemo come from, you think? Just came from...
It just sort of rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, I think Patrick said earlier that he was like, we're going to get to that later, but I think he just meant the B-plot.
Yes.
Yeah, the B-plot. I didn't mean the name. I don't know. A writer came up with the name, presumably. Some sort of writer. Some sort of professional writer.
Yes.
I don't think
paperback writer, perhaps?
Paperback writer.
All right. So you keep thinking.
The transcript, one of the transcripts, not both of the transcripts, but one of them I saw, they censored the word killed. They replaced the I in killed with an asterisk. Asterisk LLED.
When was killed mentioned? You mean it was a line of dialogue, or
what about when they said shit? It smells like shit.
They didn't actually say that. Just said Mock killed Barg's brother. They put one of the transcript sites. This has nothing to Chakotea because they don't have the newer ones. This is just a transcript, but one of them censored that for some reason. And then the other part when they said anal glands, they didn't just censor one of the letters, they censored two of them. They spelled anal glands A**L glands. Why would they censor those two words? That's just immature.
Puritanism.
That's just immature because anal glands are a fucking real thing that people have to deal with.
Animals have those.
You know? So why would you censor that? And killed? Get out of here. Remember when that Sublime
you
song...
You gotta express them anal glands.
Remember that Sublime song when they're like, Daddy's got a new 45? They would censor out 45.
Oh, shit.
Okay, now I'm done. I'm done.
All right. Well, now that Dan is done...
Excellent!
Jesse and I will also conclude our portion of the show.
I conclude.
Yeah.
Don't make me laugh.
Thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed that. We certainly did. Next week, we will continue our coverage of Star Trek Lower Decks' 5th and final season with the episode titled Starbase 80.
What?
Ooh.
There's a question mark, so you got to stress the question mark. Starbase 80? Who knows what that's going to be about? I bet it'll be interesting. We've been hearing about Starbase 80 for almost the whole show, so something to look forward to.
They went there,
kidding me?
Right? It was the trash base.
I don't think they went to Starbase.
They're always talking about Starbase 80 all the time.
They've referenced it, but I don't think we've actually seen it. But I could be wrong. Anyway, if you would like to get in contact with us, you can certainly write into feedback@itsgotstartrek.com.
Do you think that means they respect me?
I don't know, Boimler. You can find us on most social media @ It's Got Star Trek. We'd love to interact with you. And again, lots of people heading over to Blue Sky. So if you have not done so yet, why don't you check it out? But we are on Mastodon, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter,
Apple Podcasts.
For a little bit anyway. Threads. Wherever you like, come interact with us. We love to talk with you all and let us know what we got wrong.
Fine, but do not make a spectacle about it.
All that other good stuff. We look forward to hearing from you in the intervening time. But
I like it.
Otherwise, you'll hear from us again about the same time next week.
Smell you.
I refuse.
With that, we wish you all the best. Bye-bye.
Oh! We should get out of here. We did it.
Yeah, we did it. Totally. Yay.
It is a delicious honor, Your Graces.
A Cloacan in Starfleet? Shouldn't you be discovering new soups and stews?
I've encountered a few chowders.